So that's the neutrals. Let's move on to the class cards. Druid. Mark of the Lotus. 1 mana, give your minions +1/+1. So this instantly reminds me of 2 mana, summon a 3/2, or give your minions +1/+1. And that card already sees play in Token Druid. And I think this one, Mark of the Lotus, could also be very good in Token Druid. If you have your if you have some stuff on the board and you have your apprentice thingy on the board, this is obviously better than what is it, Mark of the Wild? No, Call of the Wild? No, I don't know. You know which card I mean. Then this is obviously better because it costs 1 less mana, but it lacks the flexibility of also being able to play a 3/2 out of it when you don't have a board, when you're under pressure. So, yeah, situationally, either better or worse than the existing card. And the biggest potential, I think, if you have both in your deck and a Token Druid, that could be really strong. In Arena, possibly. I mean, if it only hits 1 minion, it's obviously not that good, but I'd say it's probably worth it most of the time as soon as you hit 2 minions. And hitting 2 minions, that's I'd say doable. So, yeah, nice card. Could be strong. Pilfered Power. Gain an empty mana crystal for each friendly minion for 3. This could be insanely good with, I mean, what would be the dream? Turn 1, you have 1 mana, you play the 2 1/1s, play the coin, play 2 1/1s, or you turn 1, you play 2 1/1s, your opponent does nothing, next turn you play Innervate, two more 1/1s and this, and then you gain 4 empty mana crystals. And that's crazy. So, potentially really good. Not so good if your opponent has a very fast deck. For example, if your opponent is playing Zoo and a very fast board control-y deck. Because then you can only, probably can only trigger it off of the minions you can play in that turn, and then it's going to be very dependent on, have you got your Innovates, have you got your spawn multiple minions cards. But potentially really, really strong. In Constructed. In Arena, I'd say not so much. Lunar Visions. Draw 2 cards. Minions drawn cost 2 less for 5. So if you get 1 minion out of this, and that is reduced by 5, you've essentially paid 3 mana, and then it's like an Arcane Intellect. If you draw 2 minions out of it, and both get reduced by 2, you paid 1 mana for 2 cards. That's amazing. For drawing 2 cards, that's amazing. If you get 2 spells, you're going to be very sad, because you could have easily gotten 3 cards out of it if you just played Nourish and had the potential for Fandral or for generally just ramping. How reliable is this? I don't think that you would ever play a Druid deck that has no spells, because there are too many Druid spells like Wrath, like Swipe, like Innervate, that are just too good, and you would pretty much always want them in every deck. So the risk is that you hit spells with this. And if you have 1 cost minions, obviously this is going to be bad, because it only reduces them by 1, and reducing a 1-drop is not that relevant. Reducing a 2-drop to 0, yeah, that could be nice, but is it that relevant later in the game? I don't think so. I think the most powerful, this effect would be at its most powerful if you reduce a card that makes it able to be played in conjunction with another card that couldn't otherwise be played together. So, if you For example, if you reduce your Aviana with this, that would be really strong. If you have the copy a beast card and reduce that, and then it enables you to play it on the same turn with a bigger beast, that would be pretty strong. But in many cases, if you just draw some of later on some of your lower cost minions, it's not a weak effect, not by any means, but I think it's not terribly strong. If you reduce your, I don't know, your 3/2 does something by 2 mana, and then it's a 0 mana 3/2 does something on turn 6. No, it's not bad by any means, but it's not insane. So I'm not too impressed by Lunar Visions in Constructed. In Arena, it's probably a little bit better, because in Arena you generally have less spells and it's more minion based, so the likelihood of you getting it costing of getting the discount on 2 cards is higher. On the other hand, on an Arena you generally have less combo cards, less cards that are really strong when played together, and obviously if you make combo cards cost less, that's far stronger than just any random card. But still, in Arena, probably better than in Constructed, I'd say. Kuhn, the Forgotten King. 10 mana, 7/7. Choose one, gain 10 armor, or refresh your mana crystals. That's cool. Okay, gain 10 armor. That's obviously very good against all the face decks, because generally 10 more health is often hard to deal with for face decks, but you only get it at turn 10, and against face decks, generally if you make it to turn 10, you are probably winning anyway. So I'd say the gain 10 armor is the less strong effect here. Refresh your mana crystals essentially means this is a 0 mana 7/7, but you can only play it when you manage to get to 10 mana. Doesn't mean turn 10. I mean, it's a druid. It could be innervated or wild growth or ramped out any other way, or it could be reduced by Thaurissan. But still, you have a 7/7, and afterwards you have a full mana pool. That could give you huge swing turn. And this is Druid, so I think the dream here would be play Aviana followed by Kuhn, and then you can play 10 cards for 1 mana. You can just essentially dump your whole hand no matter what's in there. That would be really funny. So yeah. Interesting card, I'm looking forward to trying this. In Arena, I'd say pretty good. Very good. Potentially. I mean, Arena, it's really bad when you are in top deck war, because refreshing your mana crystals in top deck war is completely pointless. Gaining 10 armor, yeah, maybe. Hunter, Trog Beast Rager. 2 mana, 3/2, good stats. Battle Cry, give a random beast in your hand +1/+1. That seems good. That seems pretty good. If you can pull this off, this is essentially a 2 mana 4/3. More or less. Kind of. Delayed. So it's a little bit worse than a 2 mana 4/3, but it's definitely far better than a 2 mana 3/2. It in itself is not a beast, but you need a beast on your hand. But still, this could be quite good, especially in Constructed, when you are more likely to have a consistent number of beasts in your deck and therefore in your hand. In Arena, if you can pull it off, it's great, but the likelihood of it is smaller. Piranha Launcher. 5 mana 2/4 weapon. Whenever your hero attacks, summon a 1/1 Piranha. I'm not too impressed by this. a weapon with 2 attack for 5 mana is quite bad. The effect is not too good. I mean, you get at best 4 1/1s. At turn 5, 2 attack is probably not enough to really kill creatures. So you're probably going to go face. And you're keeping yourself from... I mean, your weapon slot is filled then, and you can't play the better weapons that you have access to, especially Eaglehorn Bow. So I'm not too impressed with this. In Constructed. In Arena, every weapon is... any weapon is a good thing, almost. There's the Cursed Blade, but apart from that, and that strange rogue weapon, but generally weapons are pretty good in Arena, so in Arena I think this is better, and Constructed, I don't really see this. Mage. Manic Soulcaster. A 3 mana 3/4, that's great. I'll write it away from the stat line. Battlecry, choose a friendly minion, shuffle a copy into your deck. That could be really interesting. Because Mage is one of the classes that's trying to make Reno work. And has potential to make Reno decks work. And this works with a Reno deck. You could... because if you have the card on the battlefield and you play this on it, you have 1 copy on your deck. Reno still works. You can do this with Reno himself. So you can copy Reno into your deck again, and then you can potentially heal for 60, or almost 60. You can reset your health twice. With other cards and other decks, maybe if you get a second Antonidas, or a second Ragnaros, that could be in control matchups or in long games could be really, really impactful. And, well, it's a 3 mana 3/4, even if you cannot get the Battlecry to work or work on a big minion, if you only copy your, I don't know, Medivh's Valet or something like that. It's still good because it's a 3 mana 3/4, and that's good enough. Most of the time. It's not something that you will play and, oh no, I didn't get the effect, I lose now. Far from it. 3 mana 3/4 on its own is good enough. So, yeah, this is a very good card, I'd say. Not so much for tempo mage or aggressive mages, but for control-y mages, yeah, nice card. Looking forward to that one because I really like the Reno mage. Paladin. Grime Street Outfitter. 2 mana 1/1. Battlecry, give all minions in your hand +1/+1. Okay. I mean, 2 mana 1/1 is obviously pretty bad. 1/1 of stats is worth nothing. 0 mana. On the other hand, you could say this is kind of using your hero power and throwing away a card to get +1/+1 to all minions in your hand. How many minions do you have to hit for it to be worth it? I don't know. I'm not sure. A 3 mana 1/5 weapon that gives every minion you play +1/+1 isn't seeing any play at all at the moment. So I don't know if this might be too slow and too situational. If you have too many spells on your hand, this is bad. If you're starting to run out of cards, this is really bad. So potentially quite strong if you hit enough minions, but can you do that? I don't know. Not too impressed. Getaway Kodo. 1 mana secret. When a friendly minion dies, return it to your hand. Now this seems cool. It's essentially the same situation you're in with Mage, with Effigy and Duplicate. You want to play this in a situation where you force your opponent to kill a minion of yours that's going to be really relevant. You don't want to play this and then use your hero power, because then you get a 1/1 back to your hand. But when you play this and all you have on the board is one big taunt, he has to go through that taunt, you get it back on your hand. You play this and throw down Ragnaros Lightlord. Then you get a new Ragnaros Lightlord. You throw this down and play Thaurissan. Your opponent has to kill Thaurissan. And then you're happy. Obviously, this is problematic with sheep or hex, but otherwise, this is, if you can play it correctly, if you can play it, if you can get into a situation where you can really use this, this is an amazingly good card. Grind Street and yes, both in Constructed and Arena. Because it doesn't matter if you can put yourself into a situation where you have one strong, relevant card on the board, nothing else, and your opponent is forced to kill that, then Getaway Kodo is an amazingly good card. The Grime Street Enforcer, 5 mana for 4. At the end of your turn, give all minions in your hand +1/+1. So this ticks off once for sure. And then if you can keep him alive several times. Again, I don't... I think this has the same situation more or less as with the Grime Street Outfitter. If you have a big hand, and if you have lots of minions in that hand, and if you can keep the Grime Street Enforcer alive for several turns, then this is insane. If you can't, if you don't, then this is really bad. So it's very situational if you can make it work. So maybe not. I don't know. Mean Street Marshal, 1 mana, 1/2. Death Rattle, if this minion has 2 or more attack, draw a card. Okay, so 1 mana, 1/2, draw Death Rattle, draw a card. That would be really, really good. It only gets that if it has more attack. So if you play this on turn 1, on turn 2 you play Direwolf Alpha and then attack with this into something, trade it off and draw a card. That would be really awesome. Maybe with Abusive Sergeant. Something like that. So yeah, bottom line, if you have a cheap, easy, and reliable way to buff this card's attack, then it's amazingly good. If you don't have a cheap, easy, and reliable way to buff this card's attack, and then trade it off, then it's pretty bad. Simple as that. Small Time Recruits, 3 mana, draw 3 1-cost minions from your deck. Okay? 3 mana, draw 3 cards is really good. For 3 mana, you usually draw 2 cards at best. It's only 1-cost cards. This can be an advantage and a disadvantage. It can be a disadvantage later in the game when you don't want to draw 1-cost minions. It's an advantage because you know what's going to happen. Obviously, this is more for aggressive decks, more flood type decks. In combination with the what was it, Darkshire whatever, the 3/3 that gives Holy Shield to all your 1 health minions. In combination with that, it could be quite good. In Arena, terrible, because you're not going to have or want to have that many 1-cost minions. Wicker Flame Burn Bristle. Now, Wicker Flame Burn Bristle could be the name of an enemy in Diablo. And it has a nice card art. That looks crazy. Okay, it's a 3 mana 2/2 Divine Shield Taunt. Damage dealt by this minion also heals your hero. So it's essentially a shielded mini-bot with ton of stuff added to it. And 1 more mana. So 2/2 Divine Shield for 3. There is a 2/2 Divine Shield for 3 with Stealth that sees absolutely no play, or almost no play. Taunt, the combination of Divine Shield and Taunt is quite nice. Damage dealt by this minion also heals your hero. Aside from Mage, this is going to heal yourself for at least 3. Because if your opponent has like a 1/1, can you throw in there? Heals you for 1, and then he has to kill it by attacking it again. Heals you for 2. Unless he uses spells, obviously. So, interesting card. If you can buff it up, it can heal yourself for quite a bit. On its own, it's... The problem is always if you throw too many effects on one card, you have to pull down the stats a bit. And that could hurt it a bit. I don't know, but it's interesting. Potential, I'd say. Priest. Please, some priest love. Potion of Madness. 1 mana. Gain control of an enemy with 2 or less attack until the end of turn. Okay, so this is a smaller Shadow Madness. Very interesting, because the problem with Shadow Madness is Shadow Madness would theoretically be quite a good card against all the Zoo decks and all the aggressive decks, but the problem is it's just too expensive with 4 mana. This one against the typical Zoo cards, this is still going to work. Zoo has a lot of 1 and 2 attack minions, and quite a number of them are really relevant. If your opponent has like, if you're playing against Zoolog and he has a 3/2 out and a Knife Juggler, you steal the Knife Juggler and kill both. That's awesome. And also this works with Priest of the Feast. Any cheap spell is a little bit more interesting with Priest of the Feast. If you have enough cheap spells, Priest of the Feast actually becomes good. So, yeah, I'm really happy. This is a good card. Really good card. It's a little bit less good in Arena, I'd say, because not that many Flood decks, not that many Zoo decks. But, yeah, still very happy. This is a good card. And it's a good early card. It's not exactly what Priest needs, I'd say, because it's reactive. But still, it's a strong early game card. Very good. Cabal Talon Priest. 3 mana, 3/4. Battle Cry, give a friendly minion plus 3 health. This is awesome. Cabal Talon Priest, the successor of Cabal Shadow Priest? No. Cabal Talon Priest, the successor of... I actually already got its name. The 3 mana, 3/4, Death Rattle, give a friendly minion plus 3 health. This is better in all respects. Battle Cry means it happens right away. Your opponent cannot see you have that, kill off all your other cards and then kill that. Doesn't work. And it's targeted. You can choose what happens, who it happens to. So yeah, this is a really, really strong 3-drop. It's stronger than the one that Priest used to have. And when Priest had that, it was in essentially every Priest deck there was. So every Priest deck is going to run 2 of these. This is a great card. It's not a 2-drop. I'd prefer a strong 2-drop for Priest, but still awesome. This is amazing. Pint-sized Potion. 1 mana. Give all enemy minions -3 attack this turn only. Again, cheap spell. Cheap spells are good for Priest. -3 attack. Of course, helps Potion of Madness to steal something. And then you can do all the usual funny stealing stuff with taking it back onto your hand and stuff like that. Also, it helps with getting good trades. But in order to get good trades out of this, you would need enemy minions on the board, minions of your own on the board that are strong enough to kill those enemy minions, and then play this. And then so there's a little bit of setup necessary for that. Still potentially good. Also, Shadow Word Horror maybe, possibly. Also, this might be against those pesky 4 attack minions. Brings them into Shadow Word Pain range. Which could be worth it with like Ysera. So, interesting. Dragonid Operative. 5 mana, 5/6. Dragon. Battle Cry. If you're holding a dragon, discover a card in your opponent's deck. This is amazing. This is really strong. I mean, 5 mana, 5/6 is great stats. That's a perfect stat line. You can ask for more at 5 mana. And Battle Cry, if you're holding a dragon, discover. You're stealing a card in your opponent's deck, and you're avoiding all the difficulties or the problems that stealing cards from your opponent's deck has. When you can choose out of 3 cards, the likelihood of you getting something that you cannot use, when you steal cards from your opponent's deck, the biggest problem is stealing cards that you can't use. Like Shield Slam. What are you going to do with that? That's a dead card. Deadly Poison. What are you going to do? It's a dead card. Right? And that happens, and then you're very sad. But if you have 3 cards in your opponent's deck that you can choose from, the likelihood of that happening is pretty small. I'd say it's generally not going to happen that you get offered 3 cards that you cannot use at all. And as well, you can, as usual with Discover, you can pick and choose what happens to fit the situation. So, wow, this is a really good card. And it's a dragon. So Dragon Priest is essentially the only priest deck where you have a meaningful 2-drop in the class. So yeah, very happy about this card. Dragonfire Potion. Deal 6 mana, deal 5 damage to all minions except dragons. Okay, this is really good. This is amazing. Obviously in the dragon deck, this is like a stronger, cheaper Flamestrike. And Flamestrike in itself is already amazing. Sure, you do have a number of cards that aren't dragons or a number of minions that aren't dragons in a dragon deck, but most of the time you're not going to kill your own stuff with this, and it's only going to affect your opponent. And that's crazy. I think you might actually even play this outside of dragon decks. Because non-dragon decks play Excavated Evil, which deals 3 damage to everything, including your own stuff, for 5, and gives that card to your opponent. And for only 1 more mana, you deal 1 more damage and don't give the card to your opponent's deck. So yeah, I think this is actually better than Excavated Evil. Quite a lot better. I really like this. Cool. Rogue, counterfeit coin, 0 mana, gain 1 mana. So essentially it's a coin. Yeah. Rogues can now put coins in their deck. Interesting. Obviously, extremely, quite useful for all the combo cards. Extremely good with Miracle Rogue. Probably pretty bad in Arena. Or not bad, but not good. Not great. But for Miracle deck, Miracle Rogue would probably be quite happy to play something like this. Edwin Von Cleave. Coin. Edwin. 6/6 on turn 1. That could be funny. If you go second, coin, a 1-drop Edwin Von Cleave. 10/10, turn 1. Okay, this will pretty much certainly spawn some nice videos with Edwin on turn 1. Lotus Assassin, 5 mana, 5/5 stealth. Whenever this attacks and kills a minion, gains stealth. That is interesting. It's essentially a Stranglethorn Tiger that gains stealth when it kills something. That is interesting. Like, you play this and kill a 4/5, and that would be pretty much the end of this one, because yeah, it just gets pinged or something, or killed by a 1/1. But then it can kill something with 5 health again. Interesting. I don't know if it's great. In the current rogue decks, I don't really see a place, because currently rogue decks are either Miracle most of the time or N'Zoth. And this doesn't help Miracle, and it doesn't help N'Zoth. So I like the mechanic, I just don't see a place for it. In Arena, it's a good card, I'd say. But it's epic, you're not going to see it too often. Shaku the Collector. 3 mana, 2/3 stealth. Whenever this attacks, add a random card to your hand from your opponent's class. Okay, so it's definitely going to, or almost definitely going to work once. So it's a 2/3 that adds a random card to your hand from your opponent's class, with the potential to have that happen multiple times. Though with the small potential, because it's only 3 health and it's obviously a priority target. Personally, I'm not too much of a fan of the random cards from your opponent's class ability or mechanic, because it's just, it happens, it can be amazing, but for me the variance is just too high. It's too often that you get cards that are completely pointless or don't help you at all. So yeah, just for personal reasons, not too much of a fan. Nothing for Shaman, nothing for Warlock. Warrior, I know a guy. Discover a taunt minion. Okay. I don't know. Wouldn't it be more reliable to just put the taunt minions you want into your deck than to discover? Because when you discover, there's quite a number of really bad taunt minions. You obviously get the advantage that if you need a taunt early game and you play this, you can pick a cheap one, and if the early game is long past and then you play this, you can just pick the most expensive minion you get. But is that worth it? I don't know. In Constructed, maybe, possibly. In Arena, more likely. Stolen Goods. 2 mana. Give a random taunt minion in your hand, +3/+3. 2 mana for +3/+3 is... yeah, it's in itself is good enough. The problem is you are putting. The problem is always when you put too many cards into one minion. If that minion gets sheeped or hexed or assassinated or whatever, silenced, that's really painful. So you generally don't actually want to put too much or too many cards, invest too many cards into one minion. And it only works with taunt minions. How many taunt minions are you going to have? Probably not that many. So, not too much of a fan. Alley Armorsmith. Taunt, 5 mana, 2/7. Whenever this minion deals damage, gain that much armor. That is interesting. I'd say the effect in itself is too weak for 5 mana. If you buff it up, it could become interesting, but then you again run into the problem that I just mentioned. If you buff this up, it becomes a very, very worthwhile target for removal. But could be interesting. Obviously depends on whether how prevalent stuff like fireballs and polymorph and hex and assassinate and all those effects is. Tree class, yeah, I read about this. Cards that can be played in 3 classes. So you have the Grimy Goons, Hunter, Paladin, or Warrior. You can put those in any of those 3 classes. Grime Street Smuggler, 3 mana, 2/4. Give a random minion in your hand +1/+1. That's I think everything I'm going to say to that. Grime Street Informant. 2 mana, Battlecry, discover a Hunter, Paladin, or Warrior card. Now the question is, do you discover only the card of your own class, or as a Hunter can you discover Paladin and Warrior cards, or as a Warrior can you discover Paladin Hunter cards? If you only discover cards from your own class, then I'd say this is not very good. If you can discover cards from the other classes, this has quite some combo potential, depending on what you draw. Like a Warrior discovering Tyrion? Hell yeah, that would be awesome. Jade Lotus for Druid, Rogue, or Shaman. So 5 mana, 5/3, the Lotus Agent. Battlecry, discover, discover one of the card. Again, if you only discover a card from your own class, meh. Not great, but not bad, because the stats are nice. Nice-ish. There's a 6/3, discover a spell, and that sees some play, so it's potential. If you can discover cards from other classes, then this has insane combo potential. Cabal, Mage, Priest, or Warlock. 3 mana, Cabal Courier, 2/2. Battlecry, okay, same thing. And again, same thing. Since the stat line is not crazily bad, if you only discover from yourself, maybe, probably not. If you discover from the other classes, great. Kazakus, 4 mana, 3/3. Battlecry, if your spell contains no duplicates, create a custom spell. If your deck contains no duplicates, create a custom spell. Okay, I have no idea what the custom spell is, but since this obviously fits into a Reno deck, and since I like Reno decks, I'm definitely going to try to play this, whatever it does. Oh. For a list of all the choice cards, try to discover effects, see that. So I'm going to look at this in a second. Yeah, okay, fittingly, many tree classes feature effects that cross normal class lines, such as allowing players to discover cards from any of the 3 matching classes. Okay, yeah, cool. Okay, so the discover effect means whichever class you're playing, it discovers cards from those 3 classes. So as a Warlock, you can get Mage cards. That makes that pretty good. Okay, now let's look at Kazakus. Okay, so essentially first you choose the cost, I'd say, probably. 1, 5, or 10. Okay. Okay, so you get the mana cost, then you get presented with 3 of 10 possible spell effects, 3 of the 9. Okay, so you get 2 effects, 2 out of 10 effects, and probably based in their strength on mana. So this is really interesting. I'm really looking forward to playing this. This seems really cool. So yeah, that's let's go back. That's the cards that have been revealed so far. I'm pretty happy about some stuff. I'm very, very happy about Priest getting some love. Now give us some reliable 2-drops, and I'm very, very happy. The tree class cards seem interesting. Kazakus seems very interesting. I'm very much looking forward to that. What else? Yeah. A surprisingly low number of cards where I just say, okay, this is crap. Nobody's ever going to play this. I like that. Yeah. So far, seems good. And an addition of cards that might help against aggro. And that's really important. So yeah. I'm getting my hopes up. Hopefully I'm not going to get disappointed. I'm Kamaleao, thank you for watching, have a good time.